2018 election is too important to be reduced to a mere contest of political personalities. What needs to prevail is truth over falsehoods and courage and substance over style and charm. It's time to say things as they are. Terrorizing people to vote for failed leadership and trapping them in poverty for political power in the name of preserving the legacy of a war which was meant to give them full freedom is the modern day slavery we must fight with every means at our disposal if Zimbabweans are going to be truly free and we're going to build a great nation. This modern day slavery is often the repressive successor to colonialism in most African countries and the greatest enemy of the well-being of our people. Our country has a long history of citizens voting their fears rather than their hopes, including in 1980, when villagers traumatized by the war voted just as much for it to end as they did for independence. Since then, ZANU-PF politicians have successfully kept over 70% of our people in the rural areas and townships caged in poverty and fear by threatening violence if their candidates are not rewarded with political power. The tragedy in most African countries is that politicians win even when the people lose. They win even when the people are intimidated into voting for brutal and incompetent people who violate their rights. Politicians become immensely wealthy and more powerful as the people become poorer and more vulnerable. We can only free ourselves from this modern day slavery if we summon the courage to see what we choose not to see, to say what we are often too scared to say, and instead of political shadow boxing, take aim at the real causes of our pain. After Robert Mugabe's electoral defeat in 2008, one man made sure that the will of the people would be overridden, and Mugabe would not concede to Changirai. That man was Emmerson Mnangagwa by his own admission. It was him and the military and security services that supported him that extended the misery of the Zimbabwean people by another decade. It did not matter to him that people were carrying money in wheelbarrows. ZANU-PF had to remain in power. It did not matter to him that the lifelong savings of many hard-working Zimbabweans had simply disappeared from the banks. ZANU-PF had to stay in power. In the decade since his intervention, the potential of millions of young Zimbabweans has been destroyed. He is the reason thousands who graduated from universities in the past decade are vendors today. An incalculable number of lives have been lost since his intervention as what was left of our healthcare system finally collapsed. So 2018 is not the time to simply bury the thousands of babies and their mothers who continue to die needlessly and carry on as if nothing happened. It is time to be angry enough to hold ZANU-PF accountable. We must choose to see that it is not just members of G40 who live in mansions and exclusive communities like Borodale Brook, while the majority of our people suffer. ZANU-PF continues to demonstrate openly that power is more important than the well-being of the people. Hence the recent order by Justice Minister Ziyambi that only ZANU-PF can hold rallies in the Zimba area until after the election. We have not heard Emmerson Mnangagwa, who now claims to believe that the voice of the people is the voice of God, repudiating the actions of the gang, which the February 25th Weekly Standard reports to be terrorizing villagers in Wedza, allegedly in General Chiwenga's name, in support of Michael Madana's candidacy. So, fellow Zimbabweans, we have a historic opportunity in 2018 to vote for our total escape from this slavery by making sure that ZANU-PF and people like Obed Mpofu and Ziambi are decisively defeated at the polls and never serve as ministers in a Zimbabwean government again. Only then will we be able to bequeath to our children and children's children a great inheritance and the great Zimbabwe they deserve. Zimbabwe, ilizwe letu, ilifa letu. Zimbabwe, our nation, our heritage. Zimbabwe, nyika yedu, naka yedu.